Good afternoon. I'm Peter Lundstrom, Chair of the Environment Committee, and we can get started for, what is it, March 12th today? Is that right? March 12th, 4 o'clock or a minute or two after 4 o'clock, so we can get started for our meeting today, which we have a short agenda. Welcome. And we do have some minutes. We do have a quorum. We have some minutes from our February 27th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Carries. Nothing on our consent agenda and nothing on our non-consent agenda, but we do have an information item, which is, again, coming back before us, Imagine 2050, our water policy plan outline. And I'll turn it over to our presenter this afternoon. Welcome back, Jen.
Hello, it's good to see you all. This might, I don't want to jinx ourselves, but this might be the last, first off, brainstorming discussion for policy. I'm going to walk through the slides. Some of these will be really familiar to you all. I'm trying to use the same slide deck for consistency, but I know some of you, this is going to be some of the first times that you get to engage with some policy. To that point, I will also be sending out an email with all of the policies to you all individually to allow you to provide comments and feedback on policies that perhaps you missed at a previous meeting. Because we will be doing it through email, there are going to be some restrictions on communications just because of open meeting laws. And so when you do get that email, there will be guidance saying that please do not discuss this between each other and only respond back to me for that email. So it will be a way for you to just get that feedback on some of those policies. So that email will be coming. There's a few language tweaks that I'm going to be working with our Office of General Counsel to make sure that we are going to be in the clear on that one. So have no fear if this is your first time to comment. I promise we will take any comments on previous policies. That being said, we are here today once again to talk about the water policy plan. If you have forgotten, the purpose of this plan is to ensure that our region has sustainable water resources from now into the future. It is a framework that we at the council help to guide our own actions and also the collective regional actions when we are thinking about water across the various water sectors. So again, thinking about water supply, wastewater, rivers, lakes, and streams, stormwater, any shape of water in the metro, it can fall under this plan because water moves between those different phases. And so we want to make sure that we are planning for water as it moves through our region. This plan will commit the council to take actions when we're thinking about areas of long-range visioning and planning, regional system investments, facility management, technical assistance, research, assessment, and partnerships. You have all seen this image. This is the graphic that shows how we know that there are existing conditions and emerging changes that are driving our regional vision and values that are going to be in the regional development guide. We do have shared goals across all of the different policy sections, and each policy section then has objectives to match or support those regional goals. We are under the water policy banner there, and so the policies that we will be reviewing today will have both the policies and then the actions to help support those policies. When we are talking about what our objectives are for this policy plan, we have been growing and shrinking and growing and trying to figure out these different objectives. And so right now we are standing at 4 of them. There is a climate objective in which we are going to work to create climate resilient water sources, ecosystems, and water infrastructure through mitigation, innovative design, and adaptive planning. We have a health objective to protect public and ecosystem health, to maintain, restore, and enhance a high quality of life, regional waters, and water services across the region. There is an investment objective, and I know it says infrastructure, and I apologize, I got the wrong slide put in here. Again, language has been shifting. So there is an investment objective in which we're going to work to optimize regional water protection, planning, and infrastructure investments within the region. And then lastly, there is an equity objective in which says that water benefits and services are accessible and shared amongst all residents and communities. So under these 4 objectives, this is how we are framing our policies to support this effort. And this is where our conversation and discussion is going to lead. My colleague, Steve Christopher, we will do this as one group, but we do have 2 different copies of the table, so you all don't have to huddle over each other to try and read it, so we'll have these 2 different documents. You will see a table like this template that you see on this screen. At the top is going to be the policy language itself. The next row underneath that is what our desired outcomes are for this policy. So it's helping to set what we hope to see if this policy is successful. There are connective objectives, so this is showing again that through line from policy through objectives to regional goals to our vision values. So showing a through line through all of the different regional development guide documents. And then lastly, this is where everyone wants to jump to right away, and I'm going to ask you to restrain yourself just for the first purpose of discussion. I've been trying to keep us talking about the policy language and the outcomes first before we jump to the actions. And the actions is how we're going to make this policy come into being in the next 10 years. We have split our actions into 3 different categories that match our ES mission statement. And so we are thinking about this through how we partner with other entities in the region to make this policy live, how we can plan for the region, and then also what services we can provide. And again, thinking broadly about the term services, so it's not just our regional wastewater treatment, but also thinking about technical assistance, perhaps grant opportunities, and other planning services that we can provide within environmental services. And so we have put a lot of really good, strong check marks on the screen. Thank you very much for your feedback. And we have 4 more policies to cover today. One of those policies, I'm going to take a minute now to just talk about it, is that water sector workforce and development policy. We have been hearing from sub-regional engagements throughout the region, from talking to different water partners. And also this is a reality that we feel in environmental services. We know that there is a crunch in the water sector workforce. And so we think that there might be some opportunity for us to develop policy within that arena and put it into our policy plan to start really thinking towards 2050 to ensure that we have the operators and the planners and the folks that help do our construction. It's across the board when we're thinking about the water sector workforce. But this is a vital service that needs to continue to be staffed now into the future. And so perhaps this is an opportunity in our plan to put this policy in. You did not see in your handout this policy because we have been in the process of actively developing it. And so I wanted to have a conversation with you all, knowing that we don't have a table for you to respond to, but it would be interesting to hear your thoughts about whether you think this is something that we should pursue in our policies. And if so, we can come back when we have that table, as we have that table generated. And so that will be one of my questions before we break off into discussing the work at the tables, which is right now. So I will actually step back and I'd like to hear your thoughts about the workforce development policy, and then we can jump into the other policies that we will be sharing with you today. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Thank you. Councilmember Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to make my ongoing complaint about the report. One of the policies was hidden in that long list of other policies that we've been talking about, and rather than regurgitate every single policy every time, making it easy to find the ones that we're actually going to review would be helpful.
Thank you.
Anything specific to the workforce proposed policy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's a really good idea to have a policy on the water sector workforce. I think the lot of the workforce is definitely aging out, and over 10, 20 years, it's gonna be really aging out. We're all facing the crunch, so I think it's a risk if we don't have a workforce, a talented, sustainable workforce, it's a risk to being successful on our water policy, so I like leaving it in, and seeing how that develops.
Thank you.
Please.
Is there anything that needs to be in the policy for us to be able to do it, or are these things that we would do anyway?
Mr. Chair and Councilmember Wolf, I think that there are opportunities to, so first off, yes, I want to give credit where credit is due. We do have a workforce and equity section within environmental services that is actively working on recruiting staff. I think this would give us an opportunity to provide resources to broaden that outreach, perhaps to focus more in thinking about targeting school age curriculum and doing some education and outreach beyond what we do right now, which has been somewhat limited from I know my staff will go to the Children's Water Festival, but we might have other opportunities to have additional engagement when we're thinking about targeting youth towards STEM careers, specifically the water sector careers. So this is that opportunity to maybe have a bigger resource allocation or a commitment for STEM connections. I think this is something that we have heard. We have modeled good apprenticeship programs, and this would be that opportunity, knowing that we have council member support to perhaps expand where we can find those partnerships and grow this sector.
I just follow up on that? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Normally the council doesn't get into that level of detail on what gets spent on what for staff and whatnot. That's staff job. I mean, I certainly support workforce development and making more connections however we can do it, but I feel like this is sort of an attempt at micromanaging that we traditionally have not done, and I don't know if you really want us to micromanage.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Councilmember. Yeah, Mr. Chair, Councilmember Wolf. This is actually why I'm bringing it to you, because it is not a traditional policy area, and so we're curious to hear your thoughts on this.
One area where it would make sense, if we're talking about broadening, throughout this whole plan, 150 times in here it says partner with stakeholders, partner with local governments, partner with this, that, the other thing. And so one advantage of including workforce is that we're all in the same bucket. Like, how many wastewater treatment plants are there within our, I know we have 9, but we have 20 plus just in our 7 counties, right? With many that are smaller, not to mention the entire state. So this could raise it up as an issue. And even though we may be doing some of that already, that type of partnership, it's good to have it in a plan so that we can kind of hold ourselves accountable and say, it's actually in Imagine 2050 that we should be reaching out to the 20 plus smaller treatment plants and or local governments with thousands of miles of sewers that they have, and they have construction operators and public works folks that take care of that they're facing the same challenges. So I could see that being one big advantage of including it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I also just want to give, I know you took it from a wastewater perspective, and that is very important. Also just broadening it, we also have 114 communities that have their local water supply, and it is a different type of water moving through pipes, but in general, the conveyance of water from one spot to the other is similar, and so I think if we are thinking about the water sector broadly, there's more constituencies out there than just the 20 local, 20 plus local wastewater.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the stormwater management.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, sorry. Mr. Chair.
Yeah, please.
Let's forget. So with that, sorry. With that, including in the policy that we're thinking very broadly about what we mean and not specifying just operators for our water treatment facilities, but we're thinking broadly about the regional context of water workforce. I think being very clear on that will be important.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councilmember. And Mr. Chair, council members, it is an issue that has been raised within professional associations, and so we will definitely make sure we're consistent with the language of professional associations if we pursue this. And again, when we have the table and language ready, we will share it with you all as well.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If we can find a way to raise it as a regional issue without creating a policy, just putting in the plan that this is a challenge, I think that maybe goes farther because our policy wouldn't necessarily, it's not something we can apply to cities or counties or watersheds or whatever, but it is sort of a universal issue to bring up.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilmember Wolf. All right.
Other thoughts?
We have other areas to discuss as well. So. Yeah, thank you. If you are interested, again, you will have an opportunity for your own individual comment, but we do have the previous templates that were. No, we don't. Sorry. I'm overpromising. I will have them in the email. These are the ones that we want to talk about today. I invite you to stand up, stretch your legs. We will have the same language in front of each side, and we can have a discussion across the table if that works for you. I also invite you all to grab a pen of your favorite color. Pick a corner.
Any corner.
Any corner. Pick a color, any color.
No, they're all three different ones.
Right, yeah, so we've got
There's 2
the,
copies of each one.
we've got the operations and finance,
Service area policy and
Service
control
area.
and infiltration.
in the service area, we've got separate urban and rural, and then the inflow and infiltration.
So this is going to be heavy on more of our wastewater responsibilities today. Take a moment for you all to.
Get what you're trying to say here, but the wording,
The very first sentence,
no, the additional capacity will not be provided until its planned and population growth and water demand require it. We need a little bit more pipe than what we're actually
Yeah.
using.
Yeah. Yes. And before we do go to the outcomes, first up, I'm going to keep us again at that top row. We will come back to some men. So the policy as it stands right now is that the region's investment and operation of resource recovery infrastructure and related assets are built, operated, maintained, and rehabilitated in a sustainable, efficient, and economical way, considering current and future challenges. Service fees and charges to operate the system are based on the regional cost of service and rules adopted by the council.
Anything missing?
That's
Not
kind of
missing
what we
anything.
already do.
That's kind of what we already do, we're just keeping it in policy, so we're
Yep.
keeping our commitments. The desired outcomes is that maintenance and rehabilitation efforts in wastewater infrastructure result in long-term use of existing systems, maximizing our investments, and safeguarding sustainable water. Private wastewater treatment systems remain up to code, reducing the potential for spills and environmental damage. Infrastructure investments are cost-effective and support sustainability. Additional capacity will not be provided until it is planned for, and population growth and water demand require it. Fees based on regional cost of services and rules adopted by the regional administrator or council members are collected from customer communities. So we have a future in which our infrastructure is sustainable. We have a revenue process. We need to rephrase.
Are there rules that the regional administrator comes up with outside of what we do for the budget and rates?
Budget and rates are vetted through our annual budget workshops in terms of, there's an approval process
Right.
at each year, but
I'm trying to
Question
figure out where
about-
the regional administrator came into that.
I think this is language that we brought forward from the 2040 plan.
yeah,
So there's flexibility to, we
Yeah, I
can
don't-
check on it.
yeah, or clarify that.
Clarify it.
So, my question is tied to the fact that this came from the 2040 plan. Isn't this just our regular operation?
Not all of it came from the 2040 plan.
Okay, but I mean, is this,
Yeah.
what is different about what we are currently doing versus this?
We're not
Where's
supposed
the
we're not
goal?
supposed to jump to that yet.
Sorry.
Appreciate that, though, give me time.
Okay,
Find
but
the
I mean, in
answers.
terms of the desired outcomes, it feels like if we're not already doing these things, we need to be doing them. And my impression from being on this committee is that we are already doing them. So what is different about these outcomes?
Well, and the other part of this, though, is also to continue our commitment to communities. So just because it's this same commitment that we made in 2040, we do have to have it in this 2050 plan so that we can
So that we can
continue.
keep doing it.
Keep doing it. And that is where you will see, these are some of the, not all of them, but when we are thinking about the wastewater operations and finance, and for sure the one that's gonna be underneath this, which is how we deliver our services based on community designation. Those have not changed because that is the expectation and agreement that we have made with our customer communities. That being said, just because it hasn't changed, we still need to put it in this book to show them that we have not.
But what things are new?
That's the question.
I would say
Desired outcomes, what things are
You should know, you should never dance when I'm in the room.
know. So this one actually is new, so we did, from making sure that we are talking, I mean, this is something that we have always done, but we've now actually put language to actually saying that a capacity will not be provided until population growth and water demand, so we are thinking from both sides of that coin.
Right, that's what I'm.
So that is a new way of thinking about how we are balancing both our supply planning and our wastewater infrastructure so that they can support and inform each other, not just
Right.
operating independently.
But we need to not make it so tight that there's no room for anybody to move here because then the prices go.
Right, exactly.
So we've got population growth and water demand required. I think it needs to be wordsmithed a little because it's a little unclear.
Okay.
Yeah.
The words are, so additional capacity will not be provided until I always don't like the word it. So the capacity is not planned or community is not, what is it? What exactly is it?
It is additional capacity.
Okay, so until
So we have to.
the capacity, the additional capacity is, I think a lot of times it's better to spell out and not use it, this, the, or is planned. And then it's the and population growth and water demand required. That end of the sentence is, so there's kind of like, is planned. So does the additional capacity, so is there a comma here or something, or should be 2 bullets, or, I mean, it's
Yeah, we will,
just
we'll play with this.
wordsmith that. a
Yeah.
little bit.
Sometimes you have to ask, what's the opposite?
Right.
And then
Got
you
it.
kind of
Yep.
simplify
Okay,
it.
Yeah, I also, I mean, this is my own personal writing style. I
no, that's fine.
leaned it, well, no, I didn't actually write this one, but I will speak from my own writing, like, I will catch myself writing hanging clauses, and I'm like, oh, no, wait, that goes at the beginning. So,
Got it.
this is where I thought I was doing science and didn't have to pay attention in English class. Now I'm writing a lot. The other, I'm trying to quickly look at Kyle if,
So under partner, the first one we already do.
yes.
The second one we already do.
Cost sharing, we
We
already
already
do.
do.
So I think this is just a continuation of our current,
Partner.
Yeah,
We already-
the big change is really is we're, under the previous policy, we tied the requirement of having an approved water supply plan that shows that there's adequate capacity to accommodate the growth. Therefore, we would plan for wastewater services. We've sprinkled more in the water supply, made a stronger connection in terms of the provision of wastewater services being contingent on the ability for local communities to provide water supply as well. So that's where you'll see water supply sprinkled in more under this proposed version and under the 2040 plan.
And that's fine, I just want to make sure that we don't overly restrict development.
So is there other partners that you thought of that you didn't put on there, or that we should include, or?
Everything under partner, we already do and it's
Right.
working well.
So is there any other partnering we should also be doing that's not on the list?
Well, on the wastewater side of things, we do a good job partnering in our system, but we're not very good at partnering with those rural centers, which I've been watching the Sand Creek thing at all, and Jordan has become a problem. And so somewhere in here, we need to, also consider protecting the long-term service area of the rural centers, whether they connect to us or stay independent. And I don't know which one that goes under.
I was gonna say that.
I kind of promised that it was gonna happen. The service area one only talks about us taking over,
Yeah.
but there's more than just us taking it over.
Let's see, and it's,
So what precedes that, right? There's
So-
space in between that stage
Yeah,
where
so-
when it
and-
gets to
and they
that,
may
we're ready,
stay-
but
they-
then in between.
Well,
we're
they
not.
may stay their own forever, but they still need to, if they're gonna make investments, know that they are going to be able to connect to the areas around them that they haven't annexed yet. And right now, we have no protection for them at all.
so if we're saying this, so I'm just, so you know what I'm writing, because we have separated you. So it says, support rural center wastewater treatment plants, and I'll get the right phrasing for it. Through technical assistance, partnership, is there
The
other
county,
things?
yeah, collaboration with the county, or
Well,
land use guiding.
And we need some language somewhere governing the land use in their future service areas before they annex.
Is that, this is where we are going to talk with Angela Torres later this week. It's, when we are thinking about land use, it's whether it's in the water policy plan or the land use policies and how they can support each other. So we'll bring this up with her to make sure that we're getting this right.
Yeah. I don't care where it goes as long as it's there somewhere, because it's really frustrating not to be able to do anything about that one.
So I'm sorry, say it one more time. Governance of land designates.
Land use in future service areas.
Thank you.
And training, if we don't put it in the proposed policy that you're thinking about.
Okay.
under plan.
Okay, over
Yeah,
here, it's like,
Please.
says, we maintain and regulating assist with Minnesota Pollution Control Agency rules as well as EPA rules, right?
Yeah, so, and.
Or is that already assumed?
Yeah, so the PCA is acting.
No, EPA.
Right, so the PCA at the state
Okay.
level
Oh.
is empowered through the EPA to bring
Okay.
about, so when we follow,
So
pollution
it's
control
already
rules,
under,
we are already in
so you don't have to
compliance.
say it,
Yeah.
okay.
These are two separate sheets, right?
It's the same content.
Yeah.
Same content.
So we just didn't wanna have everyone crowd around.
Plessy versus Ferguson.
Gotcha.
I guess my question for you right now is, the wastewater system and regional treatment, is running super well. Is there a desired change?
Well,
And I don't wanna like open this up, that's why I talked to
This is a situation.
Are we currently advocating on behalf of rural center communities to seek technical financial assistance? Because that would also tie into Councilmember Wall's question in regards to other wastewater areas that we could look into to help them out. Because that's in the plan portion of it right there.
Yeah, we do, from time to time, up at the Capitol, advocate on behalf of rural centers when they have projects or funding requests for improvements on their own wastewater system. So we do offer that support, whether it's technical or just, testimony.
So are we providing more funding because of the recent influx of funds that we have? Is that going to change the funding reality here?
influx of which funds?
Well, we have more money now to get more things done,
Not under wastewater.
Yeah, I was gonna
but not under wastewater.
say, so our wastewater system is, yeah, is funded
Okay,
solely by
okay,
our
okay.
wastewater custom charges.
So
And
just-
those, how we can spend those are set by statute.
Okay, so that tax is not going to, okay.
Is there anything new under plan? It looks to me like it's all sort of existing.
Yeah, the only thing that's new is
Thermal energy. Okay.
thermal, and this one here that talks about upstream usage of an interceptor. It was in the 2030 plan,
And
but
it
it
got
got
left
dropped.
out?
Got
Okay,
left
now
off, so
we need it back.
it's a
Okay.
bookkeeping.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to answer Councilmember Willis, I'll draw the line over here too, just to say
There are a
the
couple of
difference right here, we did include, and this is because of our district energy project, we want to be open for new technologies. So we did include thermal energy. And then this is the part that was in the 2030 plan, accidentally got dropped.
Hey, Jen?
Yes.
Can I say that I support the district energy project? I was just asking a question. Everyone came after me. I even talked to Mayor Carter and said, I support the project. Tell us to not be afraid.
What was your question? I don't even remember.
It was about, I don't remember either anymore.
I did
But
not come up.
I didn't take it as
Okay,
yes.
No.
Was it like, what is this worthwhile pile of
Right,
junk?
exactly.
People took that the wrong way.
Yeah, I think she said, why would we want to reduce emission? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Changes
so
it.
we're, for the record, whoever's watching.
Yeah, we got some action over here.
I was thinking on fees, something along the lines of transparency or predictability, something, some words like that.
So transparency and predictability to the last outcome.
I changed that to
Yeah.
the council.
I appreciate that. We struggled because in our narrative, we talk about the council as the organization. And we wanted to define it as the deciding
But
body.
when you say council members, it makes it sound like you're herding the cats and we're all digging in there.
I would never.
Take on that responsibility. You would not want, it's not fun.
I know enough now to back away from it.
Yeah, council needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just do that.
Are we dropping, should we be dropping down into
Please.
this area?
This looks like it's all kind of existing also.
Yeah, I think so.
Although I didn't know what this, the last one, will
Stabilize,
stabilize, reduce. What do we mean by that?
stabilize, how do you stabilize
Stabilize.
opportunities?
Stabilize biosolids?
Council stabilize.
Because it's stabilize opportunities, reduce opportunities, and seek out. So the adjectives
yeah, I
are all.
think
We're
it's-
wrong, yeah,
you're
we're
all-
matching up wrong.
Yeah.
So-
We have been showing this all.
Okay,
the first
I'm
one.
like-
Well, we're,
Good job.
we're the 18.
I was like, I know what all these words mean individually, but when they're strung together, I'm like, I'm not
We're
sure.
reusing energy from biosolids.
English languages are always.
Oh, correct.
No,
Just leave it as.
Are we ready to move
Yeah.
on to the next one?
Get that edit in there, we got that. All right, again, not much has changed, we're trying to be consistent with what our commitments are for our service areas. And this is a little bit, it's a two-pager, so we are going to, the policy area and the desired outcomes. We'll go over that and then we'll talk about the different service areas and different levels of service depending on community.
So they're the same on the top of both sheets?
Yes.
Okay.
So the policy states, the council will plan for sustainable water resources by providing wastewater service commensurate to the designated land use to protect waters for public health, recreation, habitat, and environmental health. The desired outcomes is that wastewater services are provided to support orderly and economical development and redevelopment of the metro area. I'm going to change that to metro region. That's what it is supposed to say. Communities requesting additional wastewater service or rural wastewater treatment plant acquisitions submits the request through the comprehensive plan and comprehensive sewer plan processes. And long-range planning supports source water protection in both urban and rural areas.
Same question, what's new from 2040?
I will say within this, I don't think we mentioned source water.
Yeah, exactly.
So we, again, are integrating, again, thinking about supply and wastewater in the same policy.
And the process of requesting service being through the comp plan process is actually reflected in statute. That's the official process for a community to request it.
Okay.
So we do have,
Do we need this?
what do we got?
jump down.
Right here. It seems like this is like kind of strong arm.
That is a weird editing thing. I think it's a-
That's in statute.
That's the, I was saying, that's actually just this that we pulled out. So these, the way that, and again, this was copied from the 2040 plan to be consistent with our services. So this was some of the framing and then these were the,
It seems like you don't really need this.
Yeah, this is the North Oaks.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we need to restate state law and
okay.
there. I mean, it already covers being consistent. We don't have to tell them what is all of the things that will happen.
Okay. Would you encourage just having, if this is a digital version, a link to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That would be
Actually,
fine.
links
You
are
want the
really good,
reference available.
Yeah, the
Link or
reference.
reference or whatever is fine, but it shouldn't be in the text.
Awesome.
It's very likely that it'll also be in the land use part of the framework as well.
So this is just
So this will,
additional information for this one. It's not a heading for this, right?
I believe so, because.
This one covers these bullets, this one covers these bullets.
Yes.
This whole 3
So-
cents.
yeah, so say it's the whole group, but we're gonna take it out.
That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I
And so instead
That
of
is
just
the
have,
hybrid.
yeah,
That, okay, gotcha.
you're also reading upside down, so.
Shouldn't they be partner, plan, and provide?
We had trouble putting the old version into the new framework, which is telling.
Yeah, it is telling.
Cause this doesn't look like a heading for all of this, but the way it's set on the page, it looks like a heading, but
Yeah.
it's not a heading.
It is, these provide more context to what,
It's more of the how, right?
yeah,
So you need a different sentence with a link.
Yeah.
To head
Yeah.
that up. You need a general heading.
Yeah.
Sentence with a link.
Yeah.
And then the bullets.
And why are they not partner, plan, and provide?
we struggled. This is primarily all plan. And so there is no partnering in how we are, well, how we're committing to work with our local communities in their planning process. We, yeah, we could
Yeah.
make it all plan.
Right, I think
Oh,
you
yeah, you
should
could
for
just say plan.
consistency,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
sort of, so we're not gonna partner then, no, just.
I'll have to talk to the GM about that.
Yeah.
Maybe we haven't thought of the partner part of it yet, for the.
Well, and there are opportunities. I mean, Kyle's group really does help support as locals are moving through their plans. So there are services that we are providing in the planning process
We'll
to.
put partner
Yeah, I
question
bet you
mark,
could come up with some.
provide.
Gives us things to noodle on.
What are these parcels? Do you mean parcels of waste or what is this?
Parcels of land.
Okay.
Partnering probably could be back to your conversation about.
And so this is, again, it's, there's a lot of
source water
overlap
protection
between
that
what our land use
separate
policies
partner
are,
and
to
just
how
have
it,
them
how
Well,
we
it's
make
not
sure
just the source water protection,
So we
but
say land parcels or?
Yeah.
you can't
Is everyone
put
gonna know
something
what
in
parcels?
that makes it harder.
I'm gonna ask you to write it,
Yeah.
because my upside down writing is not very good.
But those would be partnering.
And then when you're trying to
Because
look at
earlier,
it,
right?
Yeah.
We see that you're trying to figure this out after we have.
It
But
could be
this is
waste
all
parcels,
things
because when they
that
have
the
a
cities
package of
have to
certain
do,
kinds
right?
of waste, they describe as
Most of
parcels
them,
also.
but I mean, it's not so much that we're doing, it's what they have to do to
Here's
get
what
the
you gotta-
service.
Properties.
Yeah, this is what
Yeah.
the rules are essentially.
We actually kicked around different.
Okay,
And I think it's reasonable to leave.
Yeah.
All right,
okay, we're done.
thank you.
That was 2 pages at once.
Same verse,
Now rural.
rural.
Not same as the first.
Say thank you, that's out of expression. Different verse.
Is there
same song.
anything in here that has changed from how we normally do acquisition?
Find on the explanation. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think we left it the same.
Okay.
All the same? Okay.
This is gonna be. All right. I do want to, if there were any comments, we will.
It's the same as the one.
It's the same as before.
It's the same.
The inflow and infiltration policies, again, we did borrow a lot from our 2040 plan. The major change for this is talking about private I&I. And it's,
We need the I there.
thank
Yeah,
you.
it looks like a slang version of inflow. Inflow.
We will add an
That's
I.
really wrapping in
Info.
Trying to make it interesting. Okay, so the policy states inflow and infiltration is systematically addressed to reclaim capacity in the reconveyance system to improve efficiency and support deferment of capital expenses. Additional capacity will not be provided in the interceptor and wastewater treatment systems to serve excessive inflow and infiltration. The desired outcomes is that capacity enhancements will not be made to accommodate inflow and infiltration. Municipalities are supported in both mitigation efforts on public and private infrastructure, and funding is consistent and reliable for inflow and infiltration mitigation efforts. So,
All of these are things that we already do,
um,
except for
this one,
coordinating
that was new
between
this time.
public and
Yeah.
private
Yeah.
and trying to coordinate with the lead removal.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is 1/1 mitigation?
I. It's the shorthand for info, but thank you for catching that. We slip into it.
So for partnering, is there language in there for, as other things come up, we'll partner with them too? I mean, it's very specific with, lead removal municipal programs, but I don't know.
For future.
For future, it may come up, we want to make it somewhat, I mean, maybe it only has to be specific, but who knows, in 8 years from now, something else might come up and it's,
Lead removal or other municipal programs.
or something like that, I
Lead
just,
removal or other programs, so just take out municipal
or.
Okay.
or other,
Just.
Yeah, no, that's,
if something else comes,
Grant-
yeah.
grant, right, so it could be that there's, just to leave it general enough that, okay, it's
When we're developing the goals, are we developing the goals or we're partnering with them to develop the goals?
Hang on, I'm sorry, let me just, Kyle, can.
Which
The
goals
The plan, I think this
The
one.
inflow and infiltration goals, are we partnering with them to develop those goals or are we developing the goals?
We do partner with them.
So shouldn't we say
The
partner?
private property task force
Or in
actually
partnership.
reviewed the methodology in which the goals were developed, and they confirmed that the present methodology was still applicable, so we do.
We could move that whole thing
Partner.
up to partner because we do it sort of collectively.
We do. It's in collaboration with the local communities. We establish the threshold or the limit.
Right.
And we work with communities on ways to achieve that, either through financial assistance or other technical. So it could be moved up to partner, I guess.
Yeah, the second plan one should be with the partners.
No, the first plan was,
Might want to massage the wording to
Yeah,
reflect
massage
that
the wording.
Yeah,
we're
so
doing it
the-
with them.
so
we can put in
This is done in
partnership.
partnership.
Yep.
So we're gonna move that up so we
Yep.
can,
and the other part
so
is
we're not
what we
Idi
already
Amin
do.
guy.
So in partnership, the council will continue.
Yeah. And those are all existing, so. Unless anybody has a big desire to change them. That's if somebody doesn't do their I and I work.
These communities.
Then-
Right.
Case by case
Yeah.
basis, that's where the partnership comes in, I guess. Oh, that's under plan, okay.
All right, you can't get more space if you're not using your existing space properly.
Yeah.
Are we done?
Welcome to the end.
You made a good point that someplace along the line here, that with additional precipitation, the groundwater levels may come up to the point where it's infiltrating. I hadn't really thought
If you
about that
have
before.
cracks.
Yeah,
If you have cracks, yeah.
yeah.
I could get
It's-
worse with additional higher groundwater.
Yeah,
due
it
to
was an
climate
interesting
change.
conversation of how we were gonna fit this, where this policy fit in. Because from it is a climate
Yeah.
policy, if we think about it under high, wet, future scenarios. But in general, because we're thinking about capacity and limiting our investments in having to
And
invest in more
maintenance. I
infrastructure.
mean, that's all it
Yeah.
is maintenance
Yeah.
of
Take care
your
of your stuff.
infrastructure.
But it's been a very interesting exercise as we're drafting this, of like just saying like, oh, this policy, it fits so many
Right.
different areas, and that's just the nature of water.
That's why you
Well,
have these different things.
Exactly.
And the funny thing is, when this started, it was only supposed to be a 5-year program and go away.
Oh, geez.
And then right after I started on the council, we had a task force of city people and whatnot, and we talked about, okay, what now? And everybody agreed, maintenance, I work is maintenance, just normal maintenance.
Yeah.
Which you have to do forever, and the cities agreed, it's saving us money, it's working, why would you stop?
Absolutely.
So it's been a great program. It had a weird start, but it's been
We won't judge it by that.
a great program.
It was kind of like a pilot program, just for a
Pilot.
few years.
Yeah, but it worked so well that it's now an ongoing thing.
It got triggered.
So
Was
that,
it after the superstorm?
Yeah. Yeah.
Initially.
Yep.
so to Wendy's point, you know, given that this was quote, a startup that grew into something, so somewhere, you know, now going back and looking at all the plans from the start, we're making sure that there's room in the other policy plans for these, what we don't know, but we'll support if it makes sense.
Well, we can always make a new policy.
Well, no, but I mean, it should actually be in the plan that we
So to
make
that,
room for it.
to that point,
And I'm sure you have it someplace. but-
there is going to be a section that does acknowledge that this plan can be amended. And that there will be an amendment process that will be run with guidance with you all, so it's not just
But
staff.
we're open to
Yep.
these, like. here's
It's,
some
that was
examples.
actually just to like help me sleep at night, because taking on, trying to predict
Right.
what we need in the next 10 years, but also thinking about what trajectory we need to set for the next 30. That's too much for any of us to take on, so the amendment process is where we can.
This is helping raise the state's infrastructure report card.
Yep.
Right, and somewhere in that 5-year or shortly thereabouts, this recognition, we have aging infrastructure, and oh my gosh, we built it when the Clean Water Act passed, not just speaking to us, but, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's getting old, you know?
Right.
But there are a lot of places that aren't doing this, that are having to build big tunnels
Yeah.
underground to hold all of the water
That's-
that they aren't able to treat.
That's the demand charge
Right.
aspect of it.
And we've never, ever had to do a demand charge with anybody, have we? I mean, where
Not a demand charge.
where they failed and we,
Right.
yeah.
Right, and that's the 2016, I think it was the 2016 task force. Originally, this said that by 2013, we would start implementing a demand charge, which meant that we would charge communities to build this infrastructure. And then we were approaching, it's probably a 2010 actually task force, we were approaching that date, and the task force membership said, you know, we're doing a good job, let's just defer that until it's actually needed instead of having it date driven.
Yeah.
So.
Congratulations. We have made it to the end. For those of you who still have comments, again, there will be opportunities for those comments to be sent to me, so watch your emails. And we're gonna, from the policy standpoint, take a break. The next two environment committees that you have lined up, Mr. Colvin will be presenting on
System statement on the 9th.
system statement on April 9th. And then Lanya Ross and the water supply staff will be helping to present on the metro area water supply plan, because both of those are still components of the bigger water policy plan. So we want to make sure that we're sharing that information with you. After those two, that will give us time to incorporate all of the feedback we've been getting. And so we'll come back again with not only tables, but perhaps language and narratives to frame these tables. Ideally with a 60% drafted plan that we can share with you all, so that we can start really getting, because it's becoming real. The deadline is just around the corner. We've got to get this
I really
going.
do like the format of the tables. I think it really is,
Yeah.
a nice
I
way
I would love to say that for sure we are moving this forward, but this is also where I will be at the whim of the regional development guide designers.
Yeah.
And so this might come up
I'm on the
looking
work group, we'll
differently.
see what we can do.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Have they not given us the blessing yet?
No, so what
This
has
design?
actually
I mean,
been
it's
universally
so easy.
agreed upon or embraced
Yeah,
is
the people are
the
doing
partner
that,
plan and
That's what I
provide.
thought.
Yeah, so that part is for sure. Setting it up with the clear delineations, that has been a universal way, and for sure, I usually call these logos, and I am reminded that is the wrong word, they are actually brands. Those have also not been universally, we have to have those conversations, but I'm gonna fight for those
Look,
too.
Yeah, that's cool.
feedback, you know, from us, I mean, I think this, again, you're looking at the broader community and the cities and townships, how they need to see something and how they need to get information distilled,
Yep.
not how people like to write it.
Yeah.
So I think that's critical to formatting this, that it's easily discernible, you can pull out, you can look at it. And if it's all text, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
For
and
me.
the other thing that actually I was interested in a meeting just before this meeting, we are also thinking about different ways thinking of how the various policy plans support our regional goals and how we can make those connections too, to make sure that we have a clear, as someone is having to read all of the different policy plans, like what is that bigger story and how can we pull that story from all of our policy plans so that we're making those connections as well. Because, you know, from a climate standpoint, it's not just the water policy plan that's taking on climate, it is distributed across all the different policies, for example. So, thank you very much.
Good work.
Thank you for your time.
Nice, very nice.
You can do your
That's a wrap.
knock-knock, well, we still have regional administrators.
Oh my gosh,
I
we
mean,
are,
for, environment committee.
You have a full group to the moments.
All right, in the home stretch. Take it away.
I don't have a specific report, but I do think that it's really great to see that you guys are really in the heart of the work of creating a future plan for the region. This only happens, right? How many times have you been able to do it, Wendy?
Depends on what level you're talking about.
Boy.
This is my fourth time
Yeah.
in different roles.
So it's really great. You've been here long enough to really be ready to sink your teeth into it. So the engagement is great to see. And we really want to be ready for the future together. So that's a piece that's, I think staff are really trying to, how can we approach this in a way that's digestible? Because you know that lots of these plans sit on a shelf somewhere and there's some people that have to, you know, can't do their work without demonstrating that they need to hook up to our system, or do we meet the criteria yet? But this idea of it's all one water and our water security is got a lot of concerns that are growing across the country, not just here. We want to make sure that those don't become concerns for us, that we're ahead of the curve. So this is really, I think, exciting for me, and I've been through a few of these to see how differently we're approaching them this time. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I wanted to let the council members know that there's an opportunity. I suspect you've all toured the Metro Plan. If you haven't, April 12th is going to be another tour.
Did that just come out?
Is that instead of the one they were talking about right after the State of the Region?
I think that's the case.
Let's see here. I don't want to say for sure. All I know is that I was invited by Deb McKinley for a tour on Friday, April 12th at 1 Metro Plant.
I don't think the rest of us were CC'd on that. I wasn't.
There was an email on February 12th.
Oh. that one.
February 12th, inviting you to
okay.
fill out a doodle pool, doodle poll on
I think I was
dates
busy.
that worked.
That's right, I was busy on that day, okay.
So if you wish to join me, I think I can make that.
It's a pretty exciting
April
place.
12th, 1 p.m. Yeah, it's been a couple of years since I've been there, so
Right.
I want to head on back. Anything else that other people would like to share? With that, we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.